Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Wakeful podcast, VP-podden. It's as usual me, Johan Kato, and it's Tobbe Christiansen who will talk to you. And today we are joined by a Dutch staffy expert, Marco. Welcome. Everything's good with you?
Everything is fine. Thank you for having me.
Nice. Yeah, let's start with I think quite a few people have heard about your kennel name, Quinlan. But
Brilliant.
let's Quinlan, yeah. Let's start with who are you and your history with dogs. I presume it's quite long, but if you take a short version and then we'll see where we end up.
I will take a very short version for you guys. I started training dogs as a kid. We mainly had Malinois, a few terriers, fell type back in the day. We worked those. When I grew up, I moved to the area where I live now, and I find a dog. And the dog was wounded. He came from a dog fight, and I didn't exactly know what it was. So I got a little bit involved. I lapped the dog up, and he lived with me until he died of old age. I started the Staffords in 1989, which is indeed it's already a long time ago. But that's when I started. To say very clearly, I am a dog trainer that breeds dogs. I'm not a dog breeder that trains dogs. So primarily, my enthusiasm for the breed is the way I can work with them. I'm one of those guys that say I love what a dog can do. I'm not one of the guys that say, "Oh, I just love dogs." That's not the case. I did a few things over the years, from my own perspective, with the intention to help the breed and to help people within the breed. So back in the day, that started with forming a Staffordshire Bullterrier sporting club on the side of the Staffordshire Bullterrier club that already existed in the Netherlands. But I thought they were too focused on show. Where I think that show there's nothing wrong with it, but to have a versatile breed, you need to offer a lot more than just dog showing and talking about the looks of a dog, you know. So I founded that club. From that club came a lot of others from Norway to Brazil and a lot of countries in between. We got clubs in the Baltic states, France, Italy, and they're all involved. And within the early beginnings of the Staffordshire Bullterrier Sporting Club, the Netherlands, I had an old concept on the shelf that I thought about when I was a young bloke, and we grabbed that. We traveled around Europe, visiting other people who were active with Stafford types, pitbull types of dogs. See what for activities they did to see if we could get a competition for Staffords in which they could develop their athletic performance, their athletic ability. And now we have competitions all over the world, and it's exploding. So yeah, I was part of that, and that's the thing that still till today makes me happy.
Nice. Yeah, and it feels like the sporting part of Stafford's has been exploding, as you said, the last years.
Yeah.
So, but when you started this club, was in the early 90s or in somewhere in the 90s at least? Or
No, it was in the millennium. It was in the millennium, and I have my own dog training center, and I'm a professional dog trainer since 1989 also.
Yeah.
Alongside, I worked for the Justice Department, working with disabled kids, kids that were taken from the street because of all sorts of circumstances and problem behavior. And so I didn't have time for what I did in I didn't have time to start any club. So that took until the millennium that everything started to found. At first, it started as the Bullterrier Sporting and Social Club. That's how it founded, and then within the club, eventually they said, well, Marco, but we only have Staffordshire at the moment because we had a pit bull band running back in the day. And they said, can we not make it? And that's how it became the Staffordshire Bullterrier Sporting Club. So it's that's over the years is how it has been.
Well, the Netherlands is one of the countries that used to have a breed-specific legislation before, but that is all gone now, or
that's gone now. It doesn't mean that we're on safe grounds, though. And there's a thing that we all need to shout out, that to take very huge responsibility with these dogs. To avoid. We must always be the smartest guy on the field. Make sure that the dogs don't cause any trouble to other dogs. And that's one of the things very important. Accidents happen. There's a lot of irresponsible breeding going on in the Bully XL scene. Which is worrying. You've seen the consequences in England already. Well, and the only thing that we need to make sure is that our communities do not follow.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always bad people that changes breeds. I mean, I come from the Doberman world from the start, and I mean, yeah, the idiots got Dobermans back in the day, and then they went with Amstaffs, and it's on that road. So.
It's the biggest problem is that there's always a lot of nonsense going on that people get attached to, and then they make a lot of those stories. They make them their Bible, and they act like it, and they think that what they do is justifiable. And that's a very big thing that we have within what we can call the game breeds. Rather if you have a pit bull, an Amstaff, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, even a Boston Terrier can do a lot of damage if you let him go. So we all of us, we are responsible for the future of these dogs. And we need to as responsible people. As soon as you say, well, I think I'm one of those. I'm one of the guys that constantly say, listen, do not accept any human aggression in these dogs. Make sure that you keep your dog on the leash when there are other dogs around. Make sure that you keep your eyes in your back. Make sure you secure. Make sure that everything is always safe. Don't visit crowded places with a lot of other dogs. These dogs are not for that, and that's a responsibility we all have to take. And it's a small effort, isn't it?
It's we used to a lot, or this spring I think it was, we had a huge discussion here in Sweden regarding this, and the thing is that we all need to be very responsible, and as you said, we need to be the smartest guy on the field all the time. And it's if you feel that you can't handle that responsibility, then you should choose another breed. It's
absolutely absolutely. When people come to my kennel and they come to visit, and they want to have information about the breed, I give them two scenarios, and I always start with a worst case scenario, and then I ask, is this something you can deal with? Is this something that you can take responsibility for? And then when people say, well, that's, and often they say, well, that's quite harsh, as you say. They say, well, I don't want to make it any romantic. I'm not the type of guy that says genetics don't work. I'm the guy that says the genetics do work, and these dogs will you have a fair chance that your dog might act like that, and you are the one that has to take responsibility. People might say, oh, I leave it. I check for other breed, and for me, then I think, okay, I did a good job. And a lot of people, and that's the problem, especially is when they start into the breed and with all the good intentions, and they are always afraid that they can't get rid of the pups. So they start telling a story where they say, no, you can do this, and when you do that, and it's all about how you raise them and stuff like that. And that's a misleading story. It's the same as within the Staffordshire Bullterrier. They have this horrible thing that they say it's the nanny dog. It's a horrible thing. Will you leave your kids behind with a Staffordshire Bullterrier?
Yeah.
Unsupervised.
It's a nice story, but it implicates other scenarios as well. So yeah, it's dangerous. Now we actually starting to get in a little bit on one of the big reasons why we asked you to join the podcast, and it's to educate our listeners a little bit more about different breeds. And you're actually the first one out when it comes to the Staffordshire Bullterrier. So I'm a traditional Amstaff guy, so I know a lot about that breed. And I got an idea that quite a lot of the history is the same, but it would be really, really nice to hear you speak a little bit about the history of the dogs and the mentality and stuff like that.
Well, I was involved in Amstaffs also. I trained things like Willingwood Superman, White Rock Panther, White Rock Chascras El Diego. Those were dogs that were in my hands for a moment in time, on behalf of their owners, asking me if I could help out on them. A few more. Chasqui Indian Dingo was a dog that lived in my house for a couple of months.
Nice.
We have pit bulls also.
Yeah.
And we had Amstaffs in the past as well, so we are a bit familiar with all the parts. The history, and the history is the history has been rewritten 100 times, and there are many faults in the copy. Basically what is happening. When you look at the origin, everything goes back to the Bull and Terrier type. Now, that's all the way back into 1800. The first report of a Bull and Terrier type of dog was in 1790.
Yeah.
So the mix was done before that. The problem is that the Bulldog in the day was nothing compared with the Bulldog today.
No,
completely different dogs. And a lot of people ask me, and they say, well, how should I look at these breeds? And then I always say, well, the best way to study the old Bulldog is not to look at the Bulldog, but it's to look at the Alano Español, and then take that dog a little bit smaller. And if you keep that in your mind, then you're very close to what the original Bulldog looked like. And there's nothing compared to what we visualize when we talk about a Bulldog today. So that already makes a very big difference. On the other hand, a lot of people think that according to the things that they read, is that the cross, the mix with the terrier, and back in the day there was only one terrier in England, only one, and it was a fell type. It was the only terrier that existed. And today I believe the terrier group has 43 or 47 different kinds of terriers. They did not exist.
No,
they just had one terrier, and that terrier, the same as the Bulldog of old, they did not need each other to be perfect in the task that they had. They were perfect for the task that they performed. The point is that the Bulldog added a lot of qualities to the terriers that were very useful, and one of them was their complete ignorance for pain, and how easy they forget that. It was very valuable. A terrier is a very smart dog, very very clever dog, and it does not forget quite fast. So when you want to go into dog fighting and you have 1 minute to lap your dog up, it's all right that he needs 1 minute to forget everything that hurts, and he goes across again. So it's back in the day, in the historic perspective of that, you can understand that they did crosses like that. The terriers the dogs used, they were in a huge variety. Nothing was as rigid as you see you see these days. But when you read the first book about kineologics, when you compare that and you place that next to Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf becomes a nice fairy tale compared to the extreme thinking of pure dog breeding. So that's and you can still see that today. You can still, when you talk to people involved in dogs, when you talk about the breed, how to them it's holy. It's like a Bible. It's very very religious thinking, In the Netherlands, we have a law that you can't breed with short muzzled dogs.
No,
you're not allowed. They must fit the parameters, and they could not manage to get the clubs together to lengthen the muzzle of their dogs. They couldn't. No. So that the people, it's quite extreme to say, okay, then we let everything die out on behalf of instead of that we adapt to the law.
Yeah.
The Amstaff is it's often said, well, the Amstaff and the pit bull have a shared ancestry.
Yeah.
And the ancestry that they have, and I think that's the best thing to put it, is a mix of the already existing bull terrier brought to the old bulldogs, who were a few available in the Black Country back in the day, and they had a lot of different sizes. The bull terriers were up to 18, 19 inches, but there were also, well, we know that there is a miniature bull terrier, so the size variety was huge. For the English, it was very important that the dog was small. It was very important. They were in their history, they were completely fond of everything that fought. And they had an RSPCA who was very fanatic. There are stories known that that the RSPCA was told to check all the children cards because they hide the wounded fighting dogs in there to get through the mat. Well, you can understand as soon as that is a big dog, and that is then you have a problem. It's very important for them that it wasn't too big. It had to be a little bit small. Should be handy. They did not. The dog fighting that was happening in England wasn't the way as it was happening in the United States. The way it was happening in the United States was how it was in England. If you look at Westminster Pit history and all those places where the original fighting took place when it was still legal. That is what happened in the United States. I believe it was 1976 that it became illegal in most of the states in the USA. So there's a complete different perspective. On the other hand, the English are real terrier people. They really love their terriers. And a terrier is a completely different dog. When you look at some bulldog lines or some pit bull lines in the States, you see that they are much more bulldog orientated. And then you have others are some of them are a little bit more terrier, but the majority is where the American Staffordshire Terrier. And if the first name that they requested at the American Kennel Club to register that as a breed, they said we want to call it the American Bull Terrier. Yeah. They didn't ask it to be the American Staffordshire Terrier or Staffordshire Terrier. The dog was known as Yankee Terrier, Pit Bull Terrier, all of that. But they asked the American Kennel Club to register it as American Bull Terrier, referring to bull terriers, the way they were known in that time. And for the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, the first name that they asked for at the Kennel Club in England was, can we call our breed the original Bull Terrier? Well, you can understand that the Bull Terrier Club, they said, well, I don't think so that's going to happen. So they said, okay, now we make it the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. But what both the breeds have in common as the American Staffordshire Terrier and the Staffordshire Bull Terrier is that their focus was on preserving the Bull Terrier of old, where they could find the original Bull Terrier to leave that track too much. And I think everybody that digs in a little bit of history will agree with me on that one. If I once made a compilation, I posted it on my Facebook where I used a Bull Terrier out of early 1900, a Pit Bull out of 1900, an Amstaff out of 1900, and a Staffordshire Bull Terrier out of 1900. And I say, okay, tell me which one is which. Yeah. And it was quite difficult to say oh no, that's a typical Bull Terrier. That's so, and that is what happens in breeds. People have the tendency to exaggerate breed specific types. So we all can recognize and without the blink of an eye can say, no, that's clearly that, and that is clearly that. As soon as you start working with dogs, you understand that the nuance is much more of value than the rigid idea of breed type.
On that topic, Marco, I got a question for you. When it comes to the staffies, you talked about the necessity for the dogs to be small in England. But you see on the British Isles, there's a shitload of really, really big staffies.
At the moment.
Who's really tall.
Yeah.
Stuff. So how come? How has that changed?
The first thing important to is economic situation.
Yeah.
The economic situation, and I will explain that. It is an insight that I had when I was in Czech Republic, and I think it was 18 or 20 years ago that I was there. Yeah, 22 years ago I think it was. And I was in Czech Republic, and they were not at the EU or whatever, you know, and it was a country a lot more in development as it is today. And for me, it was like walking back into the Netherlands in 1970. You know, it's the same supermarkets and stuff like that we had back in the day. We felt quite similar. And I had one of my dogs with me, and I was at a camping, and the camping host he stopped me and he said, "Oh, you got a beautiful dog," and stuff like that. And he said, "Well, my daughter breeds Chihuahuas, and my other daughter breeds Schweizer Sennenhunden." And he said, but the daughter with the Schweiz, she had 9 puppies. Too bad she had to put down 7. And the other daughter with the Chihuahuas had 4, and they were easily sold. And I said, why is it that the Schweizer Sennenhund has to be put down? And he said, the dogs eat too much. They are too expensive for people to hold, to have them. If you look at the economic situation around 1900 for the people that worked in the mines and everywhere, they were so extremely harsh, and the payment was so small that feeding a large dog is very difficult, and they couldn't. So that's also a thing today. If you look around in England and you see that the people have a better economic situation, so the dog can rise. And it's very temptful to say, but I don't want to bring anybody in trouble in England. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of dogs mixed with other dogs that are being called Staffordshire Bullterrier in England. And there are many dogs that I look at them and say, "Oh, that's a nice pit bull," but you can't say it. You can't put it out on the board, because as soon as somebody reads it, they get reported that they can have their dog taken away.
Yeah.
So it's a big difficult, but there are a lot of.
There's been the same problem. I mean, up here there was for a while. We could see in the weight bull world there was when the BSL came in Norway and Denmark, especially Norway. There was a bunch of really, really big staffies in Norway.
Yeah.
So
we had the same here in the Netherlands. Here in the Netherlands, we have a very large group that think that staffers still have to be 47, 48 centimeters on the withers. I can understand that, but it's a result from the BSL. And these days, it's quite. The pit bull is allowed back in the Netherlands. The MSF can be bred without any stupid tests that were forced upon the breed, which did a lot of damage on the reliability of the dogs. The test did a lot of trouble to the reliability of the dogs. I must put that forward.
That I was wondering is because I mean I've seen bitches up here that's like 46, 47 by the withers, so that's a lot of staffy.
The test that they did in the Netherlands, was that the MAG test?
The MAG test.
They don't need to do that anymore.
No.
Okay.
No. And it's a complete stupid test.
Yeah.
It's completely stupid. It makes no sense. And very explosively, we saw within the Amstaff breed, we saw a lot of scared dogs.
Yeah.
A lot of scared dogs coming forward from these tests. Well, if there's one dominant trait in behavior that is very dangerous, then it's fear.
Yeah.
That's very dangerous. So the test is a complete well, idiot thing. But those that designed it will disagree with me, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So it's but that's nice to hear actually that they take that test away. Still, it's yeah.
Yeah, but it's a little bit like this, huh? If you look at the Staffordshire Bullterrier as a breed, I've always been very charmed by this very simple fact. I believe it was Danny Gilmore that wrote it in his book, where they say it should be a warship in a pocket size.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a lot is going on. A lot is going on with dogs, and then one of these stubborn Englishmen comes forward and it grabs in the inside of his pocket, and there's a little machine popping out, and gives everybody a run for his money. You know, that's to me that's a lovely idea, and I have dogs of mine are running into weight pool as well. But it's the same that back in the day, her name was Joanne Essex from Java Wolf Kennels, and she sent me a message. She got a little bitch from me. The name was Quinlan's Sloppy Seconds, and Queenie was a pet name. And she took it to a fancy fair, and there were lurchers racing. And she said, can my little Staffy, can he join? And everybody was a little bit giggling, like, what the hell is that? But it came second. And it was a 14-inch Staffordshire Bullterrier, 14-inch, and it completely lived up with the lurchers, and she really got a crowd as soon as that was known, and then when they went for the second run, people came all over to see that little Stafford raise the lurchers. So and to me that's always been very appealing about this breed. So I'm not too much in the favor. I understand that you need size a little bit to you don't want dwarfism to occur.
No.
So you need to balance up a little bit. And I think, and I can agree, and I think everybody will agree with me that as soon as you keep your breeding stock in between the 14 and the 17-inch range, that you're safe. You know, sometimes you say, okay, I will also add this. To me, a 16, 17-inch female is much more worth than a 16, 17-inch male.
Okay.
For the breed, and also to balance out the size. But that's been my experience so far. Yeah.
It's interesting, and when you convert that into centimeters, it's not that far away from where the Amstaff should be, but the size of the Staffy feels like half the size of an Amstaff, at least the ones that I've been around a lot. So it's yeah. It's the original size, the original measurements for an Amstaff was in between 46 centimeters to 49 centimeters. Yeah.
So there's in fact, if you look at the old standard of the Staffordshire Bullterrier, there's an overlap.
Yeah. Okay.
And you understand? So it's the American Staffordshire Terrier and the Staffordshire Bullterrier are that much related. There was an original overlap in size, and then they dropped that from the American Kennel Club, and they said as long as it's in balance, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know whoever made that up in the United States. And I think he had a mother that said, "Oh, you are very special," but to me, she should have given him the water bucket, because it's a completely stupid thing to say. That as long as there is a in the matter of functionality, there is a limit to size.
Yeah,
there's a limit to size. It's not that the bigger the better in dogs. Absolutely not. I always refer back to the example that I did of that little Staffordshire Bullterrier racing the lurchers. And it's try to imagine that you are living in an area and dog fighting is not allowed. And for instance, this is as an example from an historic perspective, and you need to drag a modern Amstaff on your neck in a sack, and you need to drag it for 10 miles back to your house. Do you think you can manage?
No.
It's not possible. It's not possible. If you look at the first ones and the first pit bulls and with the stuff, the Amstaff occurred of, they were dogs who were 14 kilos.
Yeah,
that was their size, 14 kilos. They weren't as big. That's development, and that's development in which we say, is it actually functional? And in our sports, the Dutch Stafford Athletics that we do all countries are united under the Stafford Olympic rules. We test dogs on 10 different disciplines.
Yeah.
And until now, there's only one 18-inch dog that made a champion.
Yeah.
180, and it's not because there are not many. We have many pit bulls competing. And there's a guy from Sweden. I believe one of his dogs doing good. I think he needs one black star on a 10 mile. But
Thomas Holmedal?
Thomas. I think he's a Norwegian guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has a dog that is in the 18-inch class that could make it. I don't know how good he runs the 10 mile, but that's one of the things that you need to do. If you look at these numbers, you say, oh, wait a second. There's in functionality, there's a limit somewhere, and we have seen that as soon as the dog gets beyond the 17-inch, it's very difficult to get to make them perform as good as a 15-16-inch dog. So
how big is Freddie? How big is Freddie?
Freddie is almost 16 inches. He's under 16 inches. In centimeters, he's 40 centimeters.
Yeah.
His brother is 43.
Yeah.
Fonzie, his brother is 43. He's a lot bigger than that. Yeah.
So the optimal size for a Staffordshire Bullterrier is somewhere around 40 centimeters in your mind, or?
Yeah, the way the standard put it down.
Yeah.
That's the point. And we have been collecting scores now since 2009 on the breed. On the DSA, there are about 100 to 120 dogs competing each year, and each year it's the same. So that is the most functional class. Is by far.
So the classes are divided by height of.
By height, yes.
Yeah.
Well, you guys do it by weight.
Yeah. So we do it by weight because there are all breeds are welcome, but that's in your case also. I presume that pretty much all breed are welcome, but it's hard for a Malinois to do all the.
They are allowed to join, but well on the DSA that's way too crowded. There are too many dogs that I'm not going to spend my time on a Malinois. They got their sports of their own, I always say.
Yeah.
Basically all bull breeds. So all the bull and terrier breeds, they're welcome. So the Staffordshire Bullterrier, miniature bull terriers, even sometimes a French bulldog competes, and some of them do really good. They're really fun to watch.
Oh, nice.
But it's mainly Staffordshire and Staffordshire pit bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had people from Lithuania this year too, if I don't remember.
Yeah. And years before we had this year we had a Dubulis team.
They had something in Estonia, Lithuania this weekend, I think.
Yeah. They had a challenge day this weekend. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So
exciting. It's I have pretty much no idea about the sport. I've seen some small clips here and there about some A-frame work and some hang time and long jump and so forth. But I need to do my research about that sport. It sounds quite fun.
It is. It's really, really fun to do, and it's very diverse. We back in the day, it also included weight pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
But weight pool is illegal in the Netherlands.
Oh.
And then I got a letter from the government. They said if you do that again, we'll charge you 15,000 euros a day.
It's a little bit too expensive. Yeah.
My problem is that I would like to try athletics.
Yeah.
In general. But the thing is, the rules we use here in Sweden with the weight pool and so on, you yeah, so same with Heidi and Riku. It's the combination. Because I need my dog to be calm when pulling on the track, and yeah, to find that combo in some way. Because it would be fun. It would become.
Oh, it froze.
It
Would
will,
be a thing and try it out a year. So
you're welcome.
Or try it in Norway. So yeah.
And I think when you go to Tor and Annat in Norway, you will find a very warm welcome. It's not too far from you. When you go to Raimis in Lithuania, there's a fantastic. When you come to the DSA, you just be welcome and join.
Yeah,
and
Raimis is really nice. Yeah. My little monster here is after Thanos from Raimis, after Ruben. So he's got some weight pedigree.
Yeah. It's fun. We always enjoyed the weight pool a lot. Though for us, I will tell you how the old tournaments went. First, we started with the tug of war competition, and then when that was done, we started the weight pool night, and we were weight pooling all night up until the next morning, and then early in the morning when we finished the weight pool, we uploaded the dogs in the car and we went for 10 miles next to a bike.
Yeah.
And then when we did that, we were directly going to the sprinting field to test if after this test they could still sprint in an adequate time.
That's the crazy thing about the breed is how versatile they are.
Really. Oh man, that's fantastic. And that's something. If you go into this, and I had a conversation with my wife the other day. It's about it's nice to tell. As when we were talking about how do you bond, and as I said, a lot of people these days in dogs that they just think just feed it a little bit and the dog will bond with you, which is a complete idiot thing to think. If you just look at our own systems, how do you bond? The strongest bonds are in the military, and what do? They go to a lot of harsh stuff to survive together. So when you step into the courage and you say, okay, I'm going through such a DSA, in October we're going to have DSA in one day, which means all the disciplines, that's 10 different disciplines, including a 10-mile race, on the shortest day of the year, and you have to start and finish within the light.
Wow,
that's kind of tough. That's
that is a tough one.
But it's the thing. Also, when you look to the weight pool, everything is about training and preparation. And the more you train, the better bond you get with your dog, and the better things go. I think that's the problem with a lot of people. For me, it's either you do it or you don't do it at all. So, so if I have the goal to win the Swedish Championships or the UPL Championship in my weight class, well, then I have to train, and then I have to train like crazy, because I compete against people like Riku and Heidi, so it's
when you train, you bond a lot, even if you don't go through harsh times, as you said, Marco, but just to train with your dog and explore difficult stuff.
Exactly.
Whoa, then you will bond really, really good with your dog. It's very important. People forget that. Yeah.
I have the same in my dog training center. When people come and they come for a puppy class and stuff, and I teach them how to work with dogs. I'm not the guy that says just give him a biscuit and pay me the money. I'm the type of guy that says, well, bring your dog, get it out on the field, start working it, try to find out what he likes, try to find out what you can do with him, what you like doing with him, go through it, bring him to the edge. Bring your dog to the edge, but also bring yourself to the edge to really bond, and that's one of the things. And I experienced the first time that I did the DSA in one day, and I had this idea. and I thought, well, before I bring it out and people start calling me crazy and idiot, I need to see if it's possible, yes or no, to get this done. So I did it with one of my best females in the day, and her name was Quinlan Tullamore-Dew.
Legend.
Yeah, she did good. I miss her till today, and that's mainly because of the spirit. But everything that we went through, everything that we did was new, and because everything that was it gave me that special bond with that little fireball. She was a crack at that one. But I just wanted to know if it was possible, and then I did the test, and she made it. And I can tell you, at the end of such a day, when you did the 10 mile as fast as you can on yourself as well, and today we are a bunch of decadent rich bastards. We sit on an e-bike, and the dog runs the lungs out of us. But in those days, you had to keep up with the dog yourself as well. And then you do it, and you do the 10 mile. Wait a second, I need to ask my wife one thing. Janine, kun jij voor mij eventjes de oplader achter mijn telefoon doen? Want ik heb de batterij bijna leeg. And that it nearly you can be a tough guy, but as soon as you finish that and you see that little dog finish, it brings tears. It brings tears in your eyes. You can be a tough guy. We can also we talk tough stuff. Yeah. Bullshit. As soon as you go through it, when you go through it with the dog, that's where the bonding starts. From your part,
I remember the first 10 mile I did with my old girl, and I was a couple of kilos heavier back then. But thing was that to keep up with her was a task.
Challenging.
When we were finished, and I were taking a picture of her, she wasn't even breathing heavy. I was. So
yeah. I once had a tournament, and we had done the 10 mile, and my bitch Tullamore-Dew, she spotted a cat, so she thought, well, I'm going to the right all of a sudden, and she ripped off 2 soles of her feet, and we were just at the beginning of the tournament. And then after that she needs to do the race and the drag pool and everything, and she limped the way back to the start, and as soon as the lure goes, she was just normal speed, and then limping back again. It's how tough they are, how resilient they are. It's you can only have a lot of respect for these dogs.
Is she the best dog you've had?
I'm
thinking of Cubers too. So those are the two in my mind that always pops up. So
Tullamore-Dew? Yeah. No, this one
or Cubus.
Yeah, Quibus. Yeah, it's a brother Connemara. They are special because they were there in the beginnings of everything.
Well,
and that made them special. Now we are so many champions ahead, and with so many dogs. If you look at Thor has a few dogs, and if you see these dogs perform, man, you drop your jaw. It's immense. It's immense. We are doing things with dogs. Dogs are showing us things at the moment that at the time that we made the sport, we wouldn't ever thought that this would be possible.
No. But that's the feeling we have in the weight pool too. Yeah, it goes up and down a little. But if you compare to like 10 years ago, the whole thing with dog training and the physiological part has gone forward a lot compared to when we started. We started with weight pool in 2009, both of us.
Yeah.
And a lot have changed, and people have learned a lot. But
and it's big in Sweden.
Big or big,
weight pool is big in Sweden, in the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah. As weight pool goes, it's big, but it's still a very, very small sport. But we had the next biggest competition ever this summer with over 60 participants
nice.
on one day. So that's nice, but it's still, I think the the training are more dogs now than ever. Not training for competitions, but having the drag weight as a physical way to train the dogs. It's bigger than ever, but it's still, the sport is still very, very small. But I think if we actually check on how many of the bull breeds there are, and how many of the owners there's actually, what should I say, actually true to themselves, what the breeds are for from the beginning, and they actually want the dogs to have a some outlet for their needs. For those people who realize that, then it's a big sport, because unfortunately, at least my experience is that most of the people that buy the breeds, like the Staffordshire Bullterrier, the Amstaff, and the Pit Bull, they are not really sure or they are not true to themselves that the dogs actually need a physical outlet in some way. So
it's a very big misunderstanding about dogs that people have, and I think you will see you will find it the way, and when you do your weight pool, the same is that there's always been a lot to blame on the dog, and that's the same in our sports, and it's the same in a lot of sports. It always aggravates me when I hear people say it's because of the dog. And when you're into dog, your dog is as good as much as effort as you have put into it. Your dog is as good as it's a short night's sleep. It's you go out early in the morning. Well, on a hot day, you don't wait till it's hot. You go out early in the morning so you can give it a good workout. You make sure you don't miss one. I have 10 dogs, and they all need to have their exercise, and I compete with a few. And they need to do a little bit extra. They need to do that a little bit more. So you need to give it that time. You need to give it that preparation. And that's if you don't do it, your dog won't perform. You can't keep up. It's not because of the dog. It's because of you.
Yeah.
And that's a thing in sports that you see. You didn't do it good. That's okay. It's not a taboo to do something wrong, but you need to accept that as soon as it doesn't work out, that you are the one that needs to go back to the drawing table and see how you can perform better with your dog. Because a dog, as soon as it does something, it will always give you 100% available at the moment.
Exactly.
Always. And it's the same if you go in weight pool. If it can pull it, it will pull it.
Yeah.
That's how it's the same for me. When my dog chases a lure, he will go full throttle.
Yes.
I am the one that's responsible that says, okay, can he go to his maximum? And there is a limit to everything. There is a limit to everything in each dog, and that's where breeding becomes interesting again. And that's also a thing that I want to put forward about the DSA. There's a few misconceptions about it. The Dutch Stafford Athletics are not designed to create the best athlete. They are created to give breeders a tool to develop on the athletic perspective of the type they prefer. And that's a completely different thing. But that's how we approach things. It's not about that this dog does best. We all need to breed dogs like this. That's not what the DSA is about. If you like a little bit the stocky Staffordshire Bullterrier, there's an absolute good reason to like these dogs. There's nothing wrong with them. But the DSA gives you the possibility to develop that type that you like into a good performing athletic dog within the type, and that's the thing, and it's very important. I can't put that across enough, because a lot of people think, oh, it's about who has the best dog, who has the best this, who has the best that. It's nothing about it. Nothing about it. It's about developing your dog, developing your breed. I said it the other day to people. When a puppy is born, for instance, and they're born in my crate, and then they bring them to the Queensland office, which is an area where I train my dogs and where I have my dog training center. And I bring them, and they see an A-frame and they go ballistic. Never been on it. Never been on it. So
that's
what
amazing.
what we do by breeding performers to performers means that we are really breeding dogs that recognize what they're going to do. And you see little puppies going over the A-frame by themselves without even chasing a lure.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. It's amazing. And that's all the things that you can do. It's a fantastic hobby to have.
Yeah, in that short time frame as well that you
a very short time frame.
It's around 20 years, 25 years, and it's still, you can see it in the puppies.
Yes,
the
the
way
dogs are adapted.
It's quite amazing. But I actually, regarding that, the mentality of the Staffy.
Yeah.
How have you seen it developed, and what do you think?
Oh, I wish I could say in general that I've seen it develop. I've seen it rapidly decline.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of people involved these days with Staffordshire Bullterriers have a complete wrong understanding of what these dogs are actually about. And back in the day, this is what they said. This is what the saying is, and that's how it is. When you came into the Staffordshire Bullterrier ring, it was a lot of noise and a lot of dogs trying to attack each other. And now you see male dogs sniffing at their arse at the moment, which is completely and it's a very it's a very dangerous thing, not for the dogs but for the people. I see a lot of Staffordshire Bull Terriers showing insecure. I see a lot of dogs lack a lot of fire. When they lack fire, they become irreliable. You need the fire. You need that in these dogs, and we all must be aware of that. And that's the same thing. The breeders are adapting the dog to the market, while we should say to the market, if you can't handle these dogs, that's okay. Find yourself another breed.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of fantastic breeds that can give you the biggest fun to do without choosing a Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I really hope that and that's everywhere where that's the problem with our breed a little bit. Everywhere where BSL pops up, our dogs become popular, and they start changing our dogs, and they give it the reputation that doesn't belong to it. Staffordshire Bull Terriers are not pit bull terriers. It's a different breed. It had a completely different development. The fighting stopped, and illegal. You know, and I'm not talking about the illegal stuff happening. It's still happening today, which is sad, but it's still happening today. I'm not talking about the illegal stuff that went on. I'm talking about the legal stuff that happened. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier as a fighting dog is long gone.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't compare it with the stories of the pit bull. And also the pit bull it's illegal now for 50 years almost.
Yeah.
48 years it's illegal to fight them. So what is the value of that? And that's where the athletics jump in, you know. And I remember that I talked to a guy of which I know that he's been in the book all his life, matching dogs, and he said, yeah, but what you guys do is nothing compared to the real deal in the box. And I said, how many matches did your best dog ever win? And he said, well, he won 4 matches. So he beaten 4 dogs. He said, yeah. Oh, okay. I said, well, my female beat it 120.
Yeah.
Wait a second. And if we put that message across, if you say, listen, if you win a contest like ours, we give you the opportunity not to beat one dog. If you really think that your dog is that good, once a year we organize a competition. You're welcome to come to prove your worth. I say, okay, listen, I'm going to beat today. I'm going to beat 120 dogs, and then you say that is less important than a combat. In combat, 75% is luck.
Yeah.
75% is luck. So it's 25% is skill. So it's a completely over exaggerated stuff for a lot of guys talking tough.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. It's just tough talk, and I do not sympathize with that. Not at all. Not at all.
No, I agree completely. But if you, in your own words, how should the mentality of the Staffy be like?
100% reliable towards humans, 100%, 100% irreliable towards other dogs. And they should at all times have a terrier attitude, which means that you might still be, when you take one of these dogs, you might still take them to the ground and dig out a badger. You might still use them for vermin control. That's what they still should be capable of. Yeah. And they should. That's what they should do. They should. The eye should spit fire. Should be glowing charcoals in their heads. That's what we want to say. That is what this breed is about. I don't want my Staffordshire Bullterrier to look like a poodle. There's nothing wrong with a poodle. They're amazing dogs, but I don't want my dog to have that spirit.
Exactly.
They catch birds. These dogs are not for that, and that's also the reason why the sport started with these breeds. And rather, it's way poor. I am always happy with everything that is done. That's why these sports are evolved. It's because we say these dogs, if we want to preserve what they are, we need to give them something that proves that they are. Else you can't. And that's what we were doing in our sports. And I don't care. The weight pool, when you see a dog going for it, and I always admire it. When you see that, you think, oh, the dog can't, and you just see him going on and on and on and giving everything that he's got. That's what it's about. That's what all these dogs are about, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
That's the trait that I love the most with these dogs. Is that they when they give their all, it's actually nothing left. After that. And that's it's amazing.
Johan, I did a 10 mile not so long ago with one of my females, and her name is Quinlan Hollywood Bitch, and I got her back because the people where she was told that she had way too much energy, and I can't disagree with them. But I did 10 miles, and we reached speed up to 53 kilometers an hour. Just in front of my bike, and I got an e-bike that can go 50 kilometers an hour on its own. And we went that fast, and you can she does 44 kilometers an hour for 7 kilometers in a flat run. It's amazing.
It's crazy how they can move. The first thing, I remember, my old girl. She was trotting at the same speed as my Doberman, 70 centimeters tall, was doing. It's crazy how they can move and how fast they are, and the stamina is
they can run top. It's unbelievable. And I must say one thing about it, because I want to step forward for the breed, the American Staffordshire Terrier in this perspective. The American Staffordshire Terrier, in a sporting perspective, has a lot to suffer from the American Pit Bull Terrier, because the American Pit Bull Terrier people shout out a lot that their dogs are better. For our own personal experience in the athletic sports, that's absolutely not the game. The Amstaffs do utterly well. Really a dog, really a breed to say, okay, let's jump into these athletics and prove that we can do something. The American Staffordshire Terrier really is today, as he is today, a very, very functional dog. Absolutely. A bit big.
Yeah.
But absolutely. They stand their ground, and if you compare that with the pit bull, I think that the pit bull has a very tough job beating these Amstaffs in the athletics.
That's one thing I know. I've asked pit bull people, because you see a lot of pit bulls with what I call loose elbows that's pointing out.
Yeah.
How the hell can that be functional in any way, or shape, or form?
It can, but not too long.
No. Yeah.
It's and this is a part of where the development of the American Pit Bull Terrier and also there is also again a difference. You have the American Pit Bull Terrier, and then you have the fighting strength.
Yeah.
And when you look at the ADBA, for instance, you see a lot of dogs going. They are becoming too light. They are becoming too long. They are becoming too tall compared to what the breed is about. This is a consequence. This is a little exaggeration of striving towards the perfect athlete, where you can ask yourself, well, you must keep the athletic part also still a little bit in historic perspective. They become a little bit too long, a little bit too thin. The skulls become too narrow. Nonetheless, there are some. There's a kennel that I admire a lot in Italy. Skyline, I believe that the name of that kennel is. If you see what these dogs can do, it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. Search them up on the internet. But for the ADBA, you see that there's on the other hand, the UKC American Pit Bull Terrier is going on the same track as the American Staffordshire Terrier. It's just different clubs.
Yes, a different name.
Different name, different club, same dog, and developing the same. So they might as well just join and say, listen, this is all one breed. The true pit bull, is never meant to grow old.
No.
So when you mentioned the loose elbows, there was back in the day there was a dog in the Irish Stafford scene. It was also a funny thing, but the Irish Stafford scene there was a dog, and I think the name of the dog was Rocky, my dear. They called him. If you look at the way he was standing, hanging in between his elbows, you couldn't understand that the dog could perform. In regard to that, I must say I once had a dog, and his name was Outsider. He also was a bit loose in the elbow, and he wasn't good he wasn't fast in that perspective. So he wasn't fast sprinting, but he could trot at a tremendous speed.
Wow.
He could reach out very, very, very far because everything in his front was loose, and he beyond that, I could take him to the river, and he was swimming upstream, and I could just hike on the bank, and he would keep up. So it was a very good swimmer, a very good trotter, but he wasn't too good in developing speed, and he wasn't too good when you took him on a 10-mile. You could see, that's what I mean. It started to hurt too much, and but pit bulls are not meant for this originally.
No. Exactly.
No, it's like the story Johan used to tell about was some breeding in the Amstaffs with short overarms or something like that.
It's a White Rock dog that's been used a lot, and you can always see in not the first generation, but not always the first generation, but always in the second generation after that, the forearms are short. It's always after that dog, and it's quite amazing when you see the genetics go through that hard. But those elbows aren't loose and so forth. But it's the short overarm makes it for the show part where I started. It wasn't that good. I see a lot of peoples with short overarms also, and when you see the White Rock, it's a little bit closer to the original of the Amstaff. So it's
If for instance, if you compare Jet Bomber to Grover, the White Rock dog, you got Jet Bomber, and then you got his brother Grover. Both had a decent balance. But Grover was a lot shorter. In his limb. These dogs. There was another one from White Rock Kennels. They did really good. A lot of Tacoma and I think Rufiums were in there. Oh, this is too long ago for me, mate. This is too long ago.
But yet Bomber is if I could get a dog like that just for the aesthetics, I would take that dog any day. It's my favorite stuff ever, just visually. It's a tremendous dog, and also the fridge. It's I can remember. It's the same. A couple of generations after. That's also really, but it's been a couple of years since I was down that rabbit hole. But when you start to look in the pedigrees of dogs and you really take your time, it's quite amazing how you can see the different breeders' signatures pretty much after a while.
Which should be the case. Which should be the case, because what this is the same as especially English breeders, for instance. What I've learned over the years is that they strive for uniformity. They try to clone. One dog needs to look exactly like the other, which is point one. It's quite dull, in my opinion. It's boring if everything looks exactly like the other one. And on the other hand, you lose one very important aspect in the breeding, which is diversity.
Yeah.
So if for instance, if everybody breeds with my dogs, I will never benefit. For me, it's important to say, okay, listen, somewhere on this globe, there's a breeder who does something that I can use, which is a complete new part into my breeding. So it's become very beneficial. But if that contains out of 90% of my own dogs, it's no good for me. And that's also a problem with modern day, and also with showing that everybody is running after the champions, for instance. It narrows everything down. Back in the day, when traveling was difficult, you were forced to do your selection among the few dogs that you had, and that way you get the type of your own, and that's how it went. And that's I used a few dogs and a few bitches from other kennels over the years, to a limited, very limited. I'm always very careful to bring another one in. Very, very careful with that. I prefer to breed with my own dogs and everything, and that means that you need to place out dogs. You need to keep your dogs. You need to do a lot of stuff, and you need to put in a lot of work. Make sure that they get the right education, so they pass on all the working trades. It's an immense job, and what happens today, which is a result of the puppy market. Let's be real about that. The puppy markets back in the day, a puppy was Gentleman Jim in our breed, for instance, I believe it was bought for 50 pence or a pound or something like that. It's nothing. When we were working on the police dogs, a puppy wasn't worth. You could buy a top class Malinois puppy here in the Netherlands for 250 guilders back in the day. Change that, it was 100 euros. But when you work the dog and you got your police certificates on it, PH1, and you could see that he could really do his job and everything, then all of a sudden you could sell it to the police service, to the army, or you could export it for an amount of 6,000. But then the dog has proven a certain amount of worth. Exactly. If you look at puppy prices today, just for the fact that it breeds and that it produces shit, people pay a huge load of money, and that has changed a lot, which wasn't up before 1900. That wasn't the case.
No,
that wasn't the case. It's really that kept growing and growing and growing. And Corona did a big bullshit on our work.
Yeah, I was just about to say that pandemic really put things on its head.
Yeah, fuck it up, I would say.
That's
really, what they did.
Yeah, and it feels like it's pretty much all over the place. all over Europe and in every breed pretty much as well. So
everywhere. It's really done really bad stuff. But well, we live in this time when we need to deal with the inconvenience of this time as well. It's just a challenge for breeders to overcome. Then you have the rules. Then you have the governments that are demotivating to breed pet animals. There's so many things that we need to face. We need to be very aware. And as we started this conversation, we need to be responsible with all the brew breeds. That's where everything starts. So we also need to say.
That's a little what we felt about this bringing you on also, because we've seen in Whipple, again, the pandemic, that there's a lot of people that have come into the sport, during the pandemic or just after the pandemic, and they don't know the sports history. Many of them don't know what they have in the leash, quite simply.
Honestly, and that's a big problem.
Yeah,
that's absolutely a big problem, and we all need to be aware of making sure that the dogs published in certain circumstances, that they are published by the names that they really have. It's something happens with a short-coated dog in the Netherlands. Is a pit bull did this without even investigating. The media just copy paste all the nonsense that they want to put up, and they start a new hype again. For the very simple reason that it sells, not because they want to tell the truth, which is a very, very worrying thing. On the other hand, you have the people with the bullies and all the stuff.
And that was the case here when it blew up like a year ago now, soon about a year ago. There was 2 incidents pretty close to each other in geography, and in one case was Amstaffs, and in one case it was bully mixes, and that really blew shit to smithereens again. So
and in both cases you could see it was owners that didn't take their responsibility.
That's the point. And
dogs
that's always
off leash and dogs that had a history of actually being aggressive towards people, and nothing was done about it. So
in my book,
you can just move to another county, and then your record is clean, pretty much. So and it was a big problem.
When dogs attack human, they should be put down. Simple. Simple. There's no space. There's no room for dogs that do that. A lot of people say, you need to be good for a dog. What dog needs to be good for us as well? They don't pay your mortgage, and they don't pay your rent. They don't pay any electricity. You pay ridiculously high vet bills. You pay the mortgage. You make sure that he gets his expensive food. You make sure that you buy your shit bags. You make sure that everything. And the dog has to have a simple responsibility to that as well. We can't keep responsibility in a cognitive way that we say he must be aware. But we should say to all each other, we should breed dogs that fit in our society. Period. And if they don't, it's not a bad thing to say, okay, then we take them out.
Exactly.
That's very simple. If one of my dogs simply attacked a human, he will go straight to the vet. Without a doubt. So that's the thing that we need to be very harsh on that. And back in the day, that was common sense. People who were involved in these dogs, they just say it openly. As soon as that dog becomes irreliable to people, put him under the axe. That was what they said back in the day, And today
that's a thing that many of these bosses don't realize, that all dogs that turned against people were put down. No but ifs or so. It being accepted now and cool to some people, it's contrary to history and everything. So
it's quite easy. Sometimes you should just do as they did in the old days.
Yeah.
Because it was common sense. We don't
it
want
is.
dogs that attack people, and this is the easy way. Don't breed them and take them away.
There's also a thing. There's also a thing that people, and it's very important to put it across when we talk about these breeds in general, is that they all have one thing in common. And rather, even if it's a Jack Russell, or it's an American Pit Bull Terrier, or whatever, there's one thing bred out of these dogs, and that is the flight.
Yeah.
And because the flight is bred out, back in the day we couldn't use a dog that run away from the job. You can't have your dog run away from the badger. It becomes useless. So we got rid of the flight. So everything is solved with fight, and that counts for a lot of breeds. It's not just the bull breeds on its own. That's why I say a little Jack Russell, a Patterdale Terrier, for them all the same. If you take a little Dachshund, it doesn't have the flight on him. No. It's just the fight. And a Dachshund which has a flight is useless.
Yeah.
So try to imagine
and that's back to they eat and they have to put in the work. So
But try to understand, Tobbe, that when there's no flight and there's only fight, that doesn't mean that the dog is secure.
No.
And that's where a lot of people in reading these dogs go wrong.
Yep.
When the dog is very insecure, even scared, but it can't fly, it will attack.
Yeah.
So we must be sure that dogs that show insecure behavior and everything should not be bred from. That's where everything starts. Because the flight is gone. It's not there. So it's very difficult. You need to cross them out to get it back to a dog that has it. But that never happened. That never happened in history. So what we need to do is we say, listen, there's no flight, so everything is solved in fight. So we need to keep a very, very clear eye on our dogs, on how they behave, on how secure they are, how easy they are in their mind, everything. And these things are important to us. These things. I can really sit down and just look at my dogs and seeing how they behave. And if there is matters of insecure, if I see a dog, for instance, that are putting the corner of his mouth down a lot, it's their first signs of insecure behavior. And then I say, oh, wait a second, we need to be careful on that one. We shouldn't be too fast on breeding, and we need to give it time. Make sure to see if it can be a little bit hormonal moment. It can be a little moment in time. But you should say, okay, we need to give it a little study. And if it in several situations gives you that sign, you should wonder by yourself, is it wise to breed this dog? And that's those things are not taught.
No.
You know, they are not taught. You don't read them on the internet because they're not popular.
No, exactly.
No.
It's not popular.
That's back to the training thing. I mean, with training, you build a bond with the dog, and you learn to see those signs, to see those small things.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the reason why. That's why
a lot of people don't put in the time or the work or
and are blind.
Yeah.
You know, we have this stupid thing called love. And there's nothing wrong with love. Don't get me wrong, but keep it in your own species.
Yeah.
And as soon as you're working into dogs, let the dog be dog and love it for the sake of it. Then love it for the fact that it's a dog. It's not a human. Don't put any human emotions on that animal. And but that's what people do. That is what people do. And people they project. Just talk to people that have pet dogs and listen how much emotions and how much emotional thoughts that they project upon a dog that isn't even aware of him being himself.
No.
You know, it says nothing about the dog, but that is what's happening. And if we look at that, and the difference is made, as you said, Tobbe, the difference can be made only in sports. It can be made only in sports. When your dog is a couch potato that rubs his balls all day on the sofa, you know, he will not give you any insight in his behavior. He will not give you any insight in the quality of his.
I was thinking about this now a little regarding to our sport, this fight and flight and so on. I mean, we do see dogs in sport in the weight pool world that are fleeing the thing, are fleeing, who don't want to pull and so on. So yeah.
And what is your general opinion about these dogs?
They are not ready. They are not trained, and that's for starters. But maybe the whole weight pull thing ain't something for them.
I think that's one part of it, and as Tobias said, I think a lot of people don't take care of the groundwork because they don't really understand what kind of situation they are actually putting the dog in. It's a difficult situation for a dog that doesn't have the biggest self-confidence, and as you said, it's a lot of love from people that make them not realize that the dog isn't only fight all the way, and that might be a part of the problem. And but we've gone back a little bit the last couple of years, but before Corona, we saw more and more dogs that didn't have those insecure traits because the training amount and the way people trained got better and better and better.
Good.
And now I think that the quality of the training is as high as before Corona, but they don't have the consistency and the amount of training in the background at the moment, because we pretty much had a whole new batch of competitors from 22. It was pretty much newbies. Yeah.
Johan, there's one thing that unites all the Bull and Terrier breeds together, and which is in a very short sentence explainable: not quitting.
Yeah.
No. And that counts for the American Staffordshire Terrier, the Pit Bull Terrier, the Bull Terrier, even the Boston Terrier. That counts for the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. That counts for all of them. Is not quitting, and that is a very important thing. When you have a dog that jumps the fence, rather it's because you want to do weight pull with him, and he refuses to go. The breed standard of the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, for instance, says the dog should be highly intelligent. Well, that doesn't mean that they can do algebra.
No.
The way it was when the standard was written down in that time frame, a highly intelligent dog was a dog with a huge will to please.
Yeah.
That's what highly intelligent means. The dog needs to have a huge amount to please, very, very high will to please. So if you combine a high will to please to any task given compared to the fact that they don't quit, then that's the part where everybody should be focusing on.
Yeah.
That's the part where everybody should be focusing on to develop a dog which is capable of doing stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and they always say when they talk about dog showing, for instance, because for us in sports, that's our biggest. That group is the most. Basically also aggressive towards what we do. They're always the first one that say what you guys do is wrong, what you guys do is bad, and it's not all of them. Of course, I know a lot of people who really enjoy a lot of the stuff what we do, but from that group in particular. But if I can honestly tell you, because I've been into dog showing myself with the same dogs that I developed the sports with. Those that were utterly good in sports were fantastic show dogs.
Yeah.
Because they were always on their toes, They never backed out. They were always had their will to please. They always wanted to perform. So if I gave them a very simple exercise to stand still, they did their best standing still. And they had this high will to please. So also for dog showing, it's a very important thing just to say, listen, these very simple, these short, small things in that basis of these breeds, we should all be putting a lot of attention to it. How is that character built up? Because, for instance, if your dog only shows you his ears for a little bit of candy, and he folds his ears back because the entire situation is too overwhelming, you should ask yourself, is this the type of character that you want?
Yeah.
If I bring one of my dogs, for instance, a dog that I was been showing back in the day was Queensland Bohemian Rhapsody. I could bring that dog into the show ring, and he would just stand his ground, and everything could try to attack him. And he would just say, "Well, bring it on."
Yeah.
You know, he would stand on he should stand four square and look at every dog in the eye. Say, "Bring it on."
Yeah.
So
but that's a thing we've seen in weight pull, quite a lot. I mean, when we started, and I mean, it's not only 15 years ago, but I mean, the staffies had a reputation of being very stressful. But I feel that has become better. But in a way, I think it was connected with the training they did back then. That was, they ran their dogs with a lot of stress. Because we have the strict rule sets that we have here that nobody benefits from it. So for me, with the staffies, for them to succeed, using Rico, Ruben, and Thomas, and so on. I mean,
Ruben was a machine. Fantastic weight pull dog.
Yeah, it was, and Rico always kept it balanced and kept it calm. And when I see things go wrong with staffies in weight pull, is when the owners go all crazy and get the dogs to explode completely. So
I'm very pleased that you say that, Tobbe. This is so true. We have we see that in our competition as well, and there are a few well, I will not give them any names, but they think that the harder they shout, that the dog will go faster over an A-frame.
Yeah, exactly.
The energy in the sports should come from the dog.
Yeah,
and you should only guide it. You should not try to hype it up. You should only guide the energy that the dog has available. So, as you say, those people that keep calm but bond and use the energy of the dog are the ones that get the furthest.
Yeah.
And I think, and it doesn't matter if you do your sports or you do mine. I think that's exactly the same.
Yeah,
that is exactly the same. And when I work my dogs, the only thing that you will hear when they get it, you hear me, yay! That's it.
Yeah.
And the rest.
Frankly, most staffies don't need their owners to pull them up a lot. They do that quite good by themselves.
They do it by themselves, and the point is that the only thing that we do with our behavior is distract them.
Yeah.
We get them out of their focus. Just let them go. They know the job. If you practice it a few times, you should know the job. They're smart dogs. They should work out. We are working with dogs that have a history of solving their own shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. So if they do not understand what the job is to become successful after a few times practice, they don't need you anymore. They need the job.
Yeah,
that's what they need. And that, as you say, that's a very good point over that. It's the owners that within their enthusiasm and in their own tension, the tension in the way they deal with the stress, and then they project that on the dog and they distract the dog.
But let's say me and you with staffies here. We're trying to get him to get a staffy, but we're working on it. But the thing is that me and you would never, you wouldn't go to a DSA and I wouldn't go to like a Swedish championship if I didn't feel that the dog was prepared. And that breeds confidence, not arrogance, but confidence that you have put in the work. You don't need all that. You know that the dog knows what to do, and you have set the playing field. So you don't need all that craziness. Really.
No, I don't even need the rosettes. I would just want to see how my dog does. It's a test for me and my dog. We've practiced, and we come to the field prepared. And I can't be asked about another dog doing it better, because I cannot compare the performance of my dog, and I cannot tell my dog to do it better than another dog. I can only get the max out of my dog and be happy with it. And if another dog does it better, you take your head off. That's as simple as dog sport is.
Yeah, if you get beat on the day by a better dog and a better handler, so what?
So what? And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I know that everybody thinks involved in our circles thinks about it that way. It's not. You bring your dog to the test. For instance, the Norwegians, they are dominant at the moment in our sports.
Yeah, I just followed Saga from a distance. That seems to be one hell of a crazy dog in all shapes and form. Yeah.
Which one? Saga.
Saga
is fantastic. Saga is fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. That dog is a machine. I remember she did DSA in one day at the age of, I believe she was 14 months, and she was the only one at the end with all the black stars. But then she still needed to do a tug of war, and there was a tug of war champion from Italy, a dog that was really good for long matches tug of war, and she just finished 20 minutes tug of war without a problem. And then she was 14 months, and that dog, we have that. And once in a while, you got this dog that can't be beaten. You can only love it. She's pointing out the parameters. Like, listen, she is showing what the breed is more capable of. So we can improve. Then you got Tora and Annette, who are very, very clever breeders. Those two are not stupid, and they really use all the things that they put in, and they have the next generation ready, and they bring in the same scores. And then not one.
Yeah, they seem to have a nice gang training together up there too. So.
And they have the advantage of a field and a good solid club in Stavanger, which is really, they can benefit a lot from it. And for me at the moment, it is I am on my own. My son has jumped into pit bulls with his girl, So but that's okay. And but for me in the staff, it's just me. My wife isn't into it. She says, I like to do other stuff. So it's just me and my staffies, and that makes it more difficult. But you need to say, no, listen, I had my moments of glory in the sports, and I enjoyed those a lot. And today I'm working on with a little dog. Her name is Quinn, and Get That Gold. And she passed 2.5 years, something like that, and she already won the Belgian Stafford Athletics. And for me, doing it on my own at this moment, I think, well, I'm happy with what she does. And
but it's also the thing. I mean, when Tor and them are doing as good as they are, and you have dogs like Saga, like you said, almost seem unbeatable. I had to compete against Ruben for quite some years. So, but if you don't have those dogs and those people, then you won't get any better, because that lights a fire.
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
Better, so.
That's exactly the point of it. The point is we have on the DSA, we have one golden rule. There's one golden rule. And the golden rule is you help everybody.
Yeah.
You help everybody. It's because you're not competing against the person. You're not competing against the dog. You help everybody getting the max out of the dog, and then we got an end result. And let that talk for itself. But if I see people refusing to help another person, I kick them off the field straight away. Go home. I don't care where you came from. Then you can take the first flight home. Everybody helps each other, because the core is we do it for the dogs and the breed. That's
I mean, everybody benefits from it.
Everybody benefits from it. But also when if I didn't put all the time I did in teaching Thor how to train his dogs, if I didn't teach him how to breed his dogs, if I didn't take the effort, I wouldn't have the advantage of him challenging me now.
Exactly.
And that's the part where maybe I am also many times misunderstood, and a lot of people always say, well, my wife, she says to me as well, why do you give these people time again if you've been disappointed so many times? Well, they're also, yes, it's part of it. I have been disappointed in people, and I might have myself been a disappointment to people. That's a fair.
We all have.
Haven't we all? And I say, well, you don't need them by the book, by the plenty. If you got 2 or 3 people around you that are willing to challenge you, and that try to bring the things to a higher level where I have not been. Thor has brought his dogs to a level that I did not touch yet. So it challenges me a lot to say, how can I do it?
Yeah.
So if I didn't give him all the opportunities, I wouldn't have given myself the opportunity either.
Exactly.
And
that's the thing. I mean, I think where it goes wrong for many people also is that will to learn somehow just stops. That now we know it all. We got the keys to everything, but that's when progress stops. I mean,
that's where progress stops. That's where everything goes on the decline slowly, and eventually where people lose their fun in things. And for me it's challenging, and I have also my age is playing parts. That you say, okay, how many generations dogs will I be able to keep? So it's not interesting for me if I will ever beat them, but I'm very interested to see where they will take it.
Yeah.
What breeding is it you're doing now, by the way? I saw you had a breeding.
Yeah. Oh man, that's going to be something. It's just the female was mated this morning.
I saw. We had a Quinlan who turned 7 here in town yesterday.
Really? Which one was it? Huh?
Flippa, Quinlan Colored Concrete, I think her name is. Yeah, she turned 7 yesterday. Flame in Finland. Yeah. So time goes fast.
Oh, beyond compare. There's a time goes well when you look ahead. I said it in another interview not so long ago. I said when you look ahead, a day can be long, but when you look back 20 years, it's nothing.
Yeah,
it's a blink in an eye, it's a knip with the fingers, man, and it's all gone. But the breeding that I'm doing now, to answer that question, is it's DSA champion Buskills who came from Sweden, Infinite Legends.
And that's because Cubus is behind Freddie and Fons, right?
Yeah.
I seem to remember that.
They are his last sons, actually. Just the way that litter was made is a story on its own. The Houston sisters, especially Sarah in this one, it was amazing. I'll tell it rapidly to you. Sarah, she had a dog. She had a female, and she sent me and I was completely forgotten that she had it. And I lost my old line. It was gone, and I thought that there was nothing left of it anymore.
Yeah.
And then she sent me a message and she says, Marco, I have this bitch and we want to do a litter with her. Do you have any ideas about what male to use? And I looked at the female and I thought, fucking hell. And and I say, yeah, I think I do know. I think if you want to give it a go, I'll let you use Queenland Connemara, and if possible, I would like to have a male puppy back from it.
Yeah.
And then she said, okay, then I'll jump on the plane. Because it is time for her to be mated. She's in season. It's time for her to be mated. So she jumped on the plane in between her in between her working shifts, and she jumped on the plane. And I picked her up at the airport. We went to my house, but we was at that time he was 11 and a half years old, something like that. So he couldn't really manage. So we went to an artificial insemination station, which is illegal now in the Netherlands to do, by the way. But back in the day, it was still possible. And it was his last drop of semen that he produced. After that, he proved sterile. We inseminated that in her. Then we had to race back to the airport because she needs to be back in Sweden for her next shift. So we jumped in my caddy. We put the box and Mora was Buskill's Envy is Dangerous in the back of the car, and I started driving her back to the airport. And then my engine broke of my caddy, so. I need to call my wife, and she needs to drop her work. She came to the car, and that day it was minus 15 degrees, and everything was broke, so I didn't have any heater in the car at all, and I had to wait for the road service to come. Anyway, my wife ended up with her other car, and Sarah jumped in the car. Then my wife raced her to the airport. Just on time, within 2 minutes, she made it to her flight. She got the dog booked, and she went back. And then I got a phone call later on, and she said, "Well, there are 7 puppies." I said, "Oh, nice." And I picked Fonzie in the litter, and she said, "Yeah, well, that's nice, but the characters of these are that spicy. I think you better come and get the whole litter because these are too crazy." So my wife and I we drove to Sweden to get the puppies, and we left 2 behind. One is doing really good, I think, also enjoying sports and some other stuff in Sweden. She's doing really nice, and we brought back these. And well, they are trouble along the way. They are complete trouble along the way.
I think a friend got a female from that litter.
A white female stayed in Sweden.
Yeah, I think a friend got a sister to Freddie and Fons.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Johan is his name.
Johan. What is Sandstrom?
Löv.
Also
Johan Löv, I think. Because he got two from Sarah from Buskills, and I think the first one was from that litter, but I can be wrong. But
yeah, can also be. But it was a fantastic story. But these 2 they stayed with me. I can't give them to other people. They are too big responsibility.
Yeah, but I mean that's okay as long as you know what you have in the leash, and and you, like Johan said earlier, to find that way to get that energy out or whatever.
If you know what you have, it's okay. And if you take the responsibility of it also, not only towards other dogs, but towards the dog itself, to make sure that it actually get the exercise that it need and obedience if that's an issue and all that stuff also. You need to put the time in. Yeah.
It's those are these, and I made it. Today I made it Quinlan Hollywood bitch, which is the fastest dog I ever had in front of my bike.
Yeah.
But she's her grandfather is Quinlan Superman.
Oh, yeah.
And she's exactly like that in the head.
Okay.
She's mental, completely mental. If I put her in front of my bike and they were going 46 kilometers an hour, and I when I use the brakes a little bit because I come across other people and I want to slow down, but she really turns around, she starts yelling at me like to speed up. It's really a trait that her grandfather had the same. And it's the pedigree that it worries me a bit. I must honestly say, because it's very tough these days to find very responsible people for this caliber of dogs. She's how do you say it? There's so much energy in that one that even with my experience, sometimes it's really tough to channel it to put her in the right direction. And there's
that's a fun thing I've noticed up here. I mean, people want a certain kind of staffy, whatever, with a lot of energy and yada yada yada. And then when they meet the puppies for the first time, it's like, oh, they're too much, and they are So why do you turn to a certain type of breeder and want this, and you can't handle a 8-week-old puppy? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm surprised every time I hear about it. So
it's these days.
Yeah,
it is these days, and the people have become a lot softer in the Western world. Then it's good for us, basically. And it's also then it's good for the dogs. You know, we need to toughen up on a lot of points. But it's the same. I wrote an article not too long ago where I say, listen, if dog fighting back in the day, it was cruel, but it's called abuse. You know, very harsh and cruel abuse. But if you look at the amount of dogs that have been cut open these days by veterinarians, just to say, listen, we need to change this, we need to change that, and that's considered to be animal friendly. It's very strange for me. Very strange for me to understand.
Marco?
It's very, very strange. Yeah.
Marco, I was right. The French dog is Buskill's 2 Steps from Hell. Cuba.
Oh, yeah. Cuba. Yeah.
So I remember right. I had to check it out. So
it's amazing how you recognize all the names. You have had quite a few litters, and still it's amazing to see how invested you are in the breed and in your own breeding as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I have a friend, and her name is Patricia Nederveld. She lives here in the Netherlands. She has a dog from Victory Steps, and I always have a nice chat with her. And when we talk about dogs, and when she asks me a question, and I always say, no, that's from that and that and that dog, and that traits come from that dog through those and those lines via those and that dogs. And then she's always checking with me on the computer to see if I got the names right. And she said, I never could have found you making a mistake.
No, I can imagine. Yeah, it's nice. Tob and I, we are nerds in weight pulling, and I used to be a pedigree nerd when it comes to the arm stuff, especially some lines. Then, because there's a lot to take in. But it's nice to talk to another nerd, even if it's in another area. It's always a trait that I hold very high.
I had the same. It's well, for instance, if you look at the old lines from the Amsterdams, which one is your favorite beside the White Rock Jet Bumper Dog?
Yeah, but I really like the Ruffian and the White Rock. Yeah, and some of the Rounders as well. Maybe it depends on the area, on the era for the Rounders. But especially, I like a little bit more the moderate, more terrier type of Amstaff. Anybody who listens now who knows my last dog, they would be surprised because he was a a very massive dog. But I like those a little bit smaller ones. More or less, and but it's nowadays it's hard. It's hard to find a really good Amstaff. I think Olaf in the Netherlands has done a good job to overcome some of the bad traits, at least in the exterior. I don't know the mental side of those dogs since a couple years back when I met them, but it's also a breed that has declined during at least the last 15 years when I started with them. So it's especially on the mental side, I think.
They suffered on that part. They suffered.
A lot of scared dogs, and those are the dangerous ones.
As I mentioned before, yes,
the
scared ones are the dangerous ones. Fear is one of the most horrible forms of dominance that you can come across.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people don't see it like that. But when people come to my dog training center, and I always talk about the matter, and I say when a general says to his soldiers, attack, go in and get killed. We can all agree on the fact that he's dominant, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, but what if that same general says retreat? What has he done?
Well, he's also dominant.
He's still dominant. Those are two extremes of dominance that you can find, and they're both as dangerous for the well-being of others.
Yeah.
In the same matter. So you should really keep it safe in the middle with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
With a lot of stuff.
That was a really good analogy. I like that one because you get often you only think about the most aggressive part as dominance, but the other one is also a dominant trait.
It's a very dominant trait. It's the same as when I talk to people. I've worked for the Justice Department with in the orthopsychiatrist settings, very intensive treatment, behavior treatment, and when you work with autistic kids, when you work with autistic kids or people, it doesn't really matter. It is their fear that controls your behavior.
Yeah,
and that is as dominant as it is. You adapt to make sure that they do not get afraid, and that's very dominant.
It
is very, very dominant.
Oh yes. Guys, we are running out of recording time, so I think we're at that time where we need to wrap it up. It's been extremely nice to talk to you, Marco, and it feels like I've learned a lot about the Staffies, and especially about the Quinlan and you.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this talk.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Really was. I mean, I knew some about Quinlan and Marco and so on, but I've learned a lot. It's been an interesting discussion in many ways.
I enjoyed it. We managed almost 2 hours, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
We have to do a follow-up in like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
You need some time editing that one.
Yeah, but I think it's not going to be that much editing for this one, hopefully. But yeah, and
you do what you think is necessary. I'll make a deal with you guys.
Yeah,
you guys come to the DSA, and you bring a dog and you try it out, and I come to Sweden, and I bring a dog and you teach me all about weight pulling. What do you think?
Oh, could do that. That would be fun. That would be fun as hell.
That would be really good. I don't have a dog at the moment, so but Tobbe has a really good one.
I'll give you a dog of mine.
Yeah. that would be, yeah, I need to really do my homework about the DSA. And yeah, it sounds even more interesting now than the small nitbits I've been seeing on social media. So I like the idea of it's being more of a breeding evaluation than a sport, pretty much.
The
So
sport,
it's still a sport, but
the sport is part of a bigger plan.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really, yeah. It sounds like a nice deal. When is the DSA?
Easter, always the same.
Oh, Tobbe disappeared. Easter, yeah.
Easter, yeah.
So yeah, so that would be really, really nice. I think we need to, and I think we need to do that.
Good. We'll talk about that later. Tobbe is gone.
No, he's let's see if he returns here. Yeah,
he's back.
No,
I made it 2 hours, then my connection crashed.
Yeah, Tobbe, I said we need to go to DSA in Easter.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about that another time. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that another time. You let me know when there's next year when there's a fun weight pool competition going on, and we'll be there.
That sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Then we're going to do that. Tobbe is disconnected again, I think.
Yeah, it looks like that. So
yeah. Johan, we talk later.
We do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the nice conversation.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Marco and another episode in English. So please comment, subscribe, like, all the things, especially on YouTube, so we can get the sports and the breeds a little bit more information. Thank you very much. Goodbye, and to the next time.